It's 2 for 1 Jack, splat, just like that. Bringing you tons of information, that's where he's at. He goes around town covering topics you'd like to know. Well, that's what you get when you tune in to the 2 for 1 Jack Show.
Different prescription medications every single day. Lots of them are actually telling me that. And then a lot of, especially the younger veterans, men and women, told me that, that they couldn't afford to buy cannabis, especially if they had kids. Maybe the kids were starting school that month, and so they needed new shoes, new backpacks, and they could either buy the kids what they needed for school, or they could buy their cannabis. And the drugs the VA passed out were free, and so by default, they were forced to take the free drugs. And to me, that was just unconscionable. So one morning when I woke up at 2 or 3 o'clock one morning, and just decided that I was tired of waiting for the government to come around and figure this out and actually give veterans safe access to free cannabis, the same way they give veterans safe access to free drugs. Prescription drugs. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard that 22 veterans a day kill themselves. I'm sure you've heard me tell you total BS. The real number is much higher than that. The reality is that we lose over 50 veterans a day now to prescription drug overdose and suicide. 91 people a day. In the last thing, 2015, the last year they had information on this, and I know it's worse now because of the opiate addiction rates have gone way up since 2015. But anyway, in 2015, 91 people a day in the United States died just from opiate overdose. So 150 die every day from prescription drug overdose of some kind, but over 90 of those are from opiate overdose. Just real quickly, too, for those of you who don't know me, because I do see some new faces, and I'm pleased to see that, and pleased to see a lot of you old faces too, not as old as me, most of you, but anyway, some of the old faces, is that well, let me sidetrack here. I just want to tell you too that anyway, so this has been a very, very rewarding experience, for me. Again, the reason we started again was because of drugs, and I just decided again that vets should have safe access to free cannabis the same way they have safe access to drugs. When I first envisioned this, I envisioned it as a weekend hobby. I taught my son Nick, who's in the back now, into coming to Colorado. Nick is actually the one that saved my life in 2010 when I was taking 180 milligrams a day of Oxy and 40 milligrams of Ambien to be able to sleep 1 to 2 hours at night. I started getting, I'm allergic to the donut that I ate on the way over here or something. Anyway, so Nick got tired of watching me try to get access to consistent edibles. One day I'd eat a cookie, it didn't work at all. The next time it would wipe me out for 2 days, and just on and on and on. And Nick's athletic career had ended, and so he was, I was blessed that he offered to lend the same work ethic that he used to be a high-level athlete to grow cannabis. So he became a cannabis grower, a very, very good cannabis grower. So in 2013, when I convinced him or asked him to come to Colorado and help with Grow for Vets to get it started. So Nick helped me found Grow for Vets, and he grew all the cannabis. But originally, I envisioned Grow for Vets as being something where I get together with maybe 20 veterans in Colorado Springs, because I live in Woodland Park, in Colorado Springs every weekend or something, and give out the cannabis that Nick grew. And, you know, we were able to grow cannabis for quite some time because we had fairly significant growth. But quickly, we were no longer able to do that. So we had to rely on donations from, you know, from generous growers and also from generous companies like Open Vape, who, you know, were willing to donate products to us, you know, to give to you guys. So anyway, that's how Grow for Vets started. You know, it's grown into something obviously much, much larger than that. You know, we've had some really awesome times, you know, together, and, you know, we've had some bumps in the road as well. You know, the main bumps have been the result of, you know, mistakes that I made in putting my faith in people that said they wanted to help, whether they're volunteers or some people, you know, who I actually paid out of my own pocket to you know, to help. You know, to help you guys. And it's been especially true in Denver, which has been particularly difficult. The reason I'm here today, I flew in from Las Vegas, where we recently relocated, so I could have a voice in the legislative process, or excuse me, the regulatory process in Nevada and in California, so we're close to California. Southern California has the largest concentrations of veterans in the United States. So we literally have thousands of members now signing up in California and Nevada. But anyway, so we relocated. So I flew in from Vegas to be here with you guys today. You know, Nick flew in from Phoenix to help out and to be here. And this will probably, again, we've tried to have leaders step up to hold these kinds of events because, again, you know, I do a lot of stuff now on the national level too, because I get calls and letters and emails every week from veterans begging for help. You know, and that's been one of the more difficult aspects of, or emotional aspects of you know, my journey with Grow for Vets, is so many that we can't help. So anyway, we'll get to how we're going to be able to help more of them in just a minute here. But so again, we've had a series of, you know, failed leadership. Again, you know, the buck stops with me because I'm the one that picked them. You know, we had, as some of you know, Sarah Hornback, who goes by Sarah Hemster, I guess, you know, was kind of the final straw with relying on other people to do what we do. You know, when I found out she had taken a lot of money out of donation containers at some businesses where we had no, but the real final straw with that was, you know, when a sponsor sent me copies of 2 checks that they had written to Grow for Vets that she had put her name on in chat. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, it is what it is. You know, again, that's unfortunate. And just yesterday I got an email from Lori, who most of you know, who's back in Vegas with our 2 dogs. We had a lady that we picked who wanted to run open a Grow for Vets chapter in Seattle. Well, Lori forwarded me a deal she found in an email box, a bill from some communication company for $3,400, and it was Grow for Vets. So we have no idea who it was, what it was. This lady opened up an account in the name of Grow for Vets, and, you know, so who knows what's going to happen with that. So anyway, that's, you know, that's the downside. The good side is, you know, being able to, you know, for me, is to be able to be here with you guys today and do what we do. But again, because there are so many veterans that need help, we're moving on to something that's bigger and better and larger. And I'm going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes here. First, though, I want to introduce Brittany, who's the marketing director. Come on up, Brittany, if you would, please. From the marketing director for Open Vape, and I want her to say a few words about, you know, about Open Vape. Open Vape, if you don't know, is the largest cannabis company in the world. They have a lot of other brands besides the things that you're familiar with. So, Brittany, if you just tell everybody, take a few minutes if you don't mind, tell everybody.
Yeah, so I'll kind of give you guys just a brief overview of Open Vape and what we do. So Open Vape produces cannabis oil vaporizer pens. Many of you got them in your bags today. We produce cannabis in 10 different states. We extract, so in 10 different legal markets we currently extract. We've recently transitioned to become organic brands. So it's kind of like our parent company. If you think of like Procter & Gamble or Unilever, so it's the company that is just one of those. Some other ones that we have are like the Magic Buzz. They're shot drinks. Those are mostly only in Colorado right now, so you guys may or may not have seen them or seen like our bus driving around at events. We have Baked, which is a line of like high potency products, and so under that brand we have some distillates for dabbing, and we recently had a product come out called the Dabberatus, which is also a product used for dabbing. And then the last brand under our house is District Edibles. That is also only in Colorado right now, but we produce gummies under that line. So at this point, we kind of have different consumption methods across the spectrum for cannabis. And how we work with Grow for Vets and Roger, our Open Vape brand requires a cartridge and a battery to work. And so we have 2 Grow for Vets pens that we sell for you guys. And a portion of proceeds from each sale go to your organization and help you guys do what you do. So there's an American flag one and a camouflage one, and we actually have some new designs Roger just approved, so those will probably be coming out in the next couple of months. Another thing that we do is on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and the 4th of July, our participating dispensaries and retailers donate cartridges to veterans, so you guys just have to bring in your identification, and we'll put a list on our social media, and Roger will probably disperse that to you guys too, as Memorial Day is coming up here in the next month. So we do donate product on those days. That's kind of the brief overview of how it works. The only other thing I was going to talk to you guys about that I thought might be something you enjoy is we have an app called Open Rewards. So if you guys go in the App Store, if you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, the Google Play Store, and you just type in Open Vape, we have an app, and it's kind of like if you buy 10 slices of pizza, if you buy like 10 cartridges, you'll get a free one. We also have a ton of like special offers, like buy one, get one free cartridges. Our new brand District Edibles is on there right now, so if you buy 3 packs of gummies, you get the 4th free. So there's some really great deals on there, so if you guys aren't aware of that app right now, definitely something that's useful. It's only in Colorado right now, but I think probably most of you guys live in the state, so. That's all I really have, unless you want me to talk about anything else.
Anybody have any questions for Brittany? Well, Brittany, again, we really appreciate your support, Open Vape support, and appreciate you coming down here on a Saturday morning. And,
of course, happy to be here.
Say, Brittany?
Yeah.
Now, at stores, do you sell the cartridges that have THC in them? Because I know you can't do it through the mail.
Yeah, so they're THC cartridges. We have CBD product on our website, openvape.com. We have an isolate, a cartridge, and a drink. We're kind of going through like a rough patch right now where some payment processors don't want to sell CBD. So sometimes it's up there for sale, sometimes it's not. So, but yeah, the THC cartridges are the ones sold in dispensaries.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Brittany, again. You know, yeah, as some of you may not know, there's a lot of legal controversy now. You know, a lot of people are very, very concerned about the fact that Donald Trump is the president, that Jeff Sessions is the Attorney General. You know, to me, that's a lot of chicken little, the sky's falling kind of stuff, just total BS. We lived through, in my life, 4 years of Jimmy Carter, who took Barack Obama, in my opinion, was the worst president in history. Anyway, so the point is, I mean, throughout our history, you know, we've had good presidents, bad presidents, you know, but it doesn't really make a lot of difference. You know, I have my own opinions about what might have happened if the election gone differently in terms of, you know, how our country, the path that we would have been on, but that's beside the point. But long story short, when it comes to CBD, the DEA 6 months ago or something actually gave a code to CBD, and so a lot of people interpreted that to be that to mean that you know, that they were going to classify CBD as, you know, a schedule something. That could happen, I suppose. But, you know, from what I'm getting, that's not necessarily the reason that they did that. And I honestly think that that there's zero chance that the Trump administration will interfere with on a state level with cannabis businesses at all. You know, when you know, that police make a big deal out of the raids they do and all that kind of stuff. You know, I will tell you from a fact, and Brittany knows this, having been in Denver, she's been doing this about as long as we've been together with Grow for Vets. Everybody that I know anyway, every single instance of somebody that got raided was doing something illegal. And I don't mean they weren't crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I mean, most of it involved diversion. And it's amazing. It amazes me that people have a golden ticket to be in the cannabis business, but for some that's just not quite good enough. You know, they just have to do that little extra thing. And obviously over the last 4 years, and way back even when we lived in Tahoe, we had offers every day that, I mean, you know, to get, you know, $5,000 a pound to, you know, load up a pod or something with furniture and, you know, 100 pounds of cannabis and ship it to Texas or something. Well, why would you do that if you can just, you know? So anyway, when you hear about that, I wouldn't panic. Okay, I carry everything through TSA. I know there's a big thing about TSA the last couple of weeks. You know, oh, you shouldn't fly with it, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, unless you have like a brick of, pound in your carry-on or something, the worst thing's going to happen is you're going to take it, you know, tell you to throw it away, or they'll throw it away or whatever. But I've never even seen that happen. I mean, I've had it right in my carry-on, they open it up and they don't say anything. That's not what they're looking for. The last time they checked my carry-on, I had some of our rectangular black stickers rubber banded together, and it looks like a block, and that's all they can see is it's a rectangular block. And so the guy told me that's the only reason we open it up, because you can't see what it is, and it's a block. It could be a C4, you know, they don't know what the hell it is. So, you know, that's why they do that. So again, to me, it's a lot of Chicken Little stuff. I don't see anything derogatory or negative happening to the legal cannabis market anywhere in the United States. You know, if you don't know, I mean, the other thing I, you know, learned certainly about Trump, and you probably know since he's the ultimate capitalist, he's also all about states' rights. Okay, he's all about getting us out of the $21 trillion we're in debt. Okay, so he's not going to be furthering that cause by shutting down, you know, multi-billion-dollar legal cannabis industry. So this isn't going to happen. All right, so a couple things too. We do have some Boveda packs. These are the big ones. You can put this in a pound actually of cannabis. If you don't know about Boveda is the only legitimate two-way humidity pack that's on the market. This isn't a company that started because of the cannabis industry. They were very, very well known. They were the top company in the humidor business, in the cigar business, long before cannabis was ever legalized. They've been around for over 20 years. But anyway, so these packs keep, if your cannabis has too little humidity on it, it adds humidity to it. If it has too much, it takes it out. Okay. Now in Colorado, I don't have these happen to be 62s, but these guys are so into, you know, making sure that they satisfy customers that this is 62% humidity pack, which they sell all over the United States. But they found out is from feedback that 62% humidity, because we live in such a dry climate here, is just too much humidity for the Colorado palate, they told me, okay? So now they have a new one that's just come out that's 58%, I think it is. So they're reeling it back until they find out what's the perfect humidity, you know, to keep your cannabis, you know, safe. So, you know, all of the people that we work with, you know, provided us with cannabis. You know, we insist that they use Boveda. There is another product out there that's becoming better known, but we tested it a year and a half ago, and it doesn't do what Boveda does, even close. Also, we have some stickers at the back. Feel free to take a sticker or two if you'd like. You know, put those wherever you like. First 50 members, because we made a limited supply. I start to say too. Another reason that Nick and I came back personally, not just because, once again, somebody that I paid $3,000 to do this didn't follow through, is the fact that we did have a little bit of flour left, okay? And so the first 50 members, I think, got this in their bag because we had a very limited amount. And then after all the bags were packed and stapled, I found this. So some lucky person will get this. No, we're not going to raffle it. But we have some people that have been with us for a long time that, you know, that have done some really nice things for us that I'll try to give that to. We do have a new website. Went up about a week ago. You should look at that. It's completely different than our old site. Nick won't want me to say this probably, but he built it. And so it's very, 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 very good. We've gotten lots of positive feedback about it. And, you know, we're excited to have that up. We've got some exciting, I told you about all the things that have failed with leadership and so on and so forth. The other thing that is happening, a couple critical things that I'll tell you about. You know, running Denver, for example, is not an easy process. For me, Grow for Vets, starting Grow for Vets was what I call or what people refer to as a perfect storm. Okay, I had a very large home in Woodland Park. I didn't have any kids. Okay, I had large areas I could lock cannabis that was donated to us up, or lock our grow stuff that we grew up, or whatever. Okay. I have a former background in law enforcement, local, state, and federal. And so I never really had a concern about getting arrested, although back at our first event on Memorial Day of 2014 in Denver, I know a lot of us were wondering, because nobody had ever done what we do. So, you know, I mean, Grow for Vets was the first one to do what we do. To my knowledge, we're still the only legitimate tax-exempt organization that does what we do. And so anyway, it's not easy to find somebody who doesn't have kids around, okay, that really cares about the mission, who has, again, has a lot of storage space, who doesn't mind going out and picking up 3 pounds of flour from a single donor, you know, knowing that that's federally illegal and state illegal and, you know, whatever. You know, are driving around their vehicle to come here with thousands of milligrams of cannabis products that's illegal. You know, so it's tough for me. Yeah, I decided to put somebody else in that position. You know, if somebody's going to get arrested doing this, it should be me. You know, I would want it to be me. Most people think if it was me, that'd be the biggest publicity Grow for Vets has ever had today. But anyway, and I'm sure some of you would, you know, throw your 2 cents worth into that too. So, yeah, okay.
We'll get you arrested.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So anyway, that has led me to where we're at today. Now I don't know how your lives have worked. You know, again, my life's been full of ups and downs, but again, mostly ups. And the one thing that I've been blessed in my life to have happened is every time one door closes, always a better one is open, okay? So as we were going through this transition and leadership failure after failure after failure, and I became more frustrated, you know, with the whole process and disappointed in you know, in how all of that went, it eventually led to where we are today. I told you we have a new website. And it's not hot, but it will be within the next 2 weeks. We have a lot of new programs. I mean, the website's hot, I'm sorry. But the new program I'm going to tell you about won't be hot for a couple of weeks. I think you can go ahead and sign up, maybe just give us your name and contact info or something so we can send you an email when it does go hot, which will probably be about Memorial Day is what we're shooting for this year. We're going to launch a new program called Operation Airdrop. Now, you know, we have a couple, I have at least one walking testimonial in here with regard to CBD or hemp product. Dennis, who was nice, and his wife Charlotte were nice enough to bring the donuts and the water. The first time I met Dennis, I hope you don't mind me telling this story. You know, Dennis had never done anything with cannabis at all, or had anything to do with cannabis, but he had some shoulder pain, and you know, and pain like, you know, most of us do. So, long story short, Dennis, and over the last year, we've had about 40 people that we've tracked that we gave CBD-only products to. We had very, very good results. Unfortunately for me, it depends on again, CBD is fairly new still, believe it or not. So sometimes some of the products I've gotten have not worked particularly well, but we've narrowed it down now to where we have just the highest, you know, the best products that are available, the best oils and stuff that are available. So we're getting ready on Memorial Day, hopefully, to launch a new program called Operation Airdrop. Operation Airdrop will allow us to ship CBD products. By the way, all the big CBD companies now are in the process rapidly of changing their names of their products to hemp-based or hemp this, hemp that, to get away from CBD, because the DEA put a code on CBD. So, you know, CBD, hemp, same thing, okay, but at any rate, so Operation Airdrop, just for the cost of what it costs us to hire somebody to put it in the box and the shipping cost, you'll get it directly to your door, okay? Colorado veterans in the order, because again, we start with a limited supply. We do have quite a bit. We've been blessed with that. We have a limited supply. We're going to do vape oil and tinctures primarily be the two things, and then we'll get into topicals at a future point in time here. And if products are donated to us for manufactured by other companies, then we'll obviously pass those along to you as well. But to you every month, then, for just the cost of the postage and the, you know, somebody sticking it in the box, you know, you'll be able to get that delivered right to your door. The part I left out, the other frustrating part about people begging for help, you know, the worst ones are the calls that I get, emails I get, primarily from moms and female spouses, you know, begging me to help their son or their husband, you know, or sometimes their father, you know, if it's an old guy like me and it's their kid, you know, reaching out. And they live in Nebraska, where I grew up, or they live in Louisiana, or someplace, you know, you get 20 years if you have any kind of, you know, cannabis products at all, if you get caught with it. Those are the hardest calls for me to deal with. And again, that personally for me has been as frustrating as the leadership failures, the chapter leader failures or whatever that we've had, is not being able to help, you know, not being able to help, you know, those men and women that, you know, reach out for help from states that we can't operate in legally. And there are thousands of them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I'm very excited. That's the new door that's open, Operation Airdrop. And again, that will allow us to ship it right to your door. And again, much better. You know, you don't have to come down to a meeting or whatever. Now, the other thing that we're doing too, and this will start July 1st and 2nd. You know, we're really getting ready now to do large events like we did in the beginning in Denver, where we have 1,000 or more people. And in Las Vegas on July 1st and 2nd, we're having an event called Light Up Las Vegas. It'll be the biggest fundraising event by far that Grow for Vets has ever done. It'll be a 2-day expo and conference. You know, I don't know how many conferences you've been to, but you know, usually they have 2 or 3 speakers speaking at the same time. We're not going to do that. We're just going to have 14 speakers over a 2-day period, and there's only one speaking at a time. But so it'll be a lot of it will be an educational thing. July 1st is a day in Nevada that you can first purchase, any adult can purchase cannabis, okay, cannabis products. It's legal there now as of January 8th. It was legal to possess it, but it doesn't do you any good if you don't have a medical card because there's nowhere to buy it in the state of Nevada legal. Okay, so that we're going to celebrate that, if you will. So, you know, watch your email for that, watch our social media for that. There actually will be a separate Light Up Las Vegas page, so hopefully that's easy name to remember. So if you see Light Up Las Vegas, that's an event that we're actually putting on there. So that'll be the first one that we do. We will be back sometime before the snow flies in Denver, you know, to do an event as well. I started to say, so Airdrop, Operation Airdrop, Colorado veterans will have they'll be the first in the list. It'll go in order of how long you've been a member of Grow for Vets, but I'm sure that we have enough that we can service and take care of all the vets that are members in Colorado. You can go to on the new website, Nick, can they sign up as members on the website? Okay, so you can sign up as a member on the website, even if you're already a member, okay? I would advise you to do that just to make sure, because again, we switched not only had a new website, but we switched internet service providers, so just to make sure you didn't get lost in the shuffle and get left out. Don't just assume you're a member. I'd rather you go sign up, and you've already signed up before, and we'll pick it up that it was a duplicate. Don't worry about that. The system will pick that up. But make sure you sign up as a member. So enroll as a member for Grow for Vets. It's free now, okay? So there's no charge. Just go on there and do that. Again, as I've talked about, I think at the last event, we do have some special things that will be going on for members who've been with us for a long time, who had paid memberships that are still valid, are still active. And I think that that's pretty much it. I just want you all to know how much I appreciate you being here, and how much I appreciate the opportunity to, hopefully provide you with something that will give you an alternative to, the deadly drugs that the VA passes out to vets like candy to kids on Halloween night. We're only 4 years into this now. I think we have a few years to go, but that's the other thing. If you put your politics aside, and you really don't listen to what politicians say, whatever, look at what they do. I was very upset that Trump did not fire the guy who was the head of the VA under Obama. I didn't know anything about him. I just know the guy before him really sucked. Okay, but the new guy, I'm assuming, must be good and must have done something. But again, this is the biggest quagmire thing that anybody you could imagine. I mean, I'd take on almost any job in the world other than trying to straighten out the VA. But if you watch what they do, not what they say. The other day Trump signed, another executive order or a bill, I guess it was, that really will expand the health care options for veterans. Was it choice or something? I'm
Veterans Choice, he expanded it. He basically...
Choice, okay, the choice program, they're going to, believe me, and that one I think was just the first step. I think they'll really start to expand it, because I will tell you, I'll tell you just a brief story that really solidified what I think about Trump. I met a lady, a real estate broker in Las Vegas a month ago, who actually was part of a big development in Las Vegas. And one day, Donald Trump and his ex-wife, in 2010, I think she said, flew in because they were going to open some big day spa thing or something in Las Vegas. And this lady who's the broker is also an Air Force veteran. And so Trump's there, he's got his entourage, the limos, the whole 9 yards. And this is long before he ever said anything about being in politics, of course. And so the first day, halfway through the first day, her boss introduced her to Trump as a veteran. And he got up they were sitting at a table with like 25 people at a restaurant. And he got up from across the table, walked around the table, shook her hand, congratulated her, hugged her, thanked her for her service. And from that day forward, for the next 3 days, she rode in his personal limo with him. Everywhere they went, everybody he met, he introduced her as an American hero, as a veteran. And that was the moment I knew for sure this guy just isn't some other BS politician. I mean, this guy, so when it comes to vets, I don't know about the rest of it, when it comes to vets, this guy's the real deal. Because again, he had no reason to do that, nothing to gain by doing that, and yet he did it. Yes, sir.
Roger, you got any insight why after 100 days Trump hadn't come out one way or the other? Maybe it's
On cannabis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that he probably will for any in the foreseeable future. There's so much on his plate that again, the biggest for me, the biggest news is no news. Okay. As long as all I keep seeing is crackdowns on people that are operating illegally, then that's fine. Where it really seems to be, where there are some iffy situations that I've seen, surprisingly, are in the most liberal, maybe New York might be the most liberal state, but I think California easily qualifies as the most liberal state in the United States. in California is where a lot of the federal action seems to be, going on an ongoing basis. Now, I still have connections at the federal level, so I mean, I do get some feedback or input, on that sometimes. But, again, I think almost all of it is illegal activity, okay? I've really not seen any example, wow, they were doing everything, in accordance with state law. But for some reason, in that liberal state, the Attorney General, the local prosecutors, who are all, the most liberal people pretty much in the freaking world, they're the ones that seem to be the most adamant about busting these businesses. Well, when you really look into why that is, it's all about the money. The businesses they hit usually are the most high-profile businesses that have the most money, the biggest bank accounts, and that's why they hit them. Because if you don't know, when they do that, then they seize that money, and they do their best to seize every cent they can get, including your kid's college fund, anything that ever had your name on it. It could be your mom's account. They just take it, then it's up to you to get it back. Well, the reason they try to take every cent is they're trying to put you in a position where you don't have any financial resources to hire an attorney. And so what happens to a lot of these people, they get put in jail. They can't make bond because they took every cent they had. They can't hire an attorney, and by the time they get through the legal process, they've already processed the forfeiture deal, and they've lost their stuff, and now it's really hard to get it back.
It was just a travesty that back Thursday, the 7 activists in D.C. was arrested for handing out free joints.
Yeah, well,
That was terrible.
but I do have an opinion about that too. To me, I appreciate activists, okay? I don't appreciate lobbyists, I won't say, but I do appreciate activists, all right? Do I think that NORML or ASA or Marijuana Policy Project or any of these people really had anything to do with what's happening good in the cannabis industry? The answer is no. I know that a lot of industry people support them with a lot of money, but, they've been lobbying for frickin' 20 years, and what did they, what happened? But when it comes to that kind of stuff, when it comes to throwing pill bottles on the Capitol steps, when it comes to handing out free joints at the Capitol or at Trump's inauguration, to me that, to be honest, is stupid, okay? That's you may just walk up and just say F you to somebody. I don't believe, personally, I don't think that's the way to affect change, okay? Again, I'm sure, when I started this, I could have been Weed for Warriors. We were the first ones to ever do it. I had 100 names on the board I could have picked. Anything with pot, weed, ganja, none of those were even on the board, okay? Why? Because weed's not going to convince a soccer mom that veterans should have safe access to free cannabis, okay? Because even though it's easier for us to operate in states where cannabis is legal for all adults, like in Colorado under Amendment 64, for example, even though it's easier, we're all about the medical aspects of it. I don't care if people use cannabis to get high anymore, and I care if they use alcohol, heroin, whatever, what the hell you want in your body. I could care less. The point is, though, is that, I only care about it for the medical aspects of it. I utilize it myself, but again, I don't care if you use it just to get high. I'm sure there are probably some people along the way that we've had that are members that's all they use it for. They have no legitimate medical use for it. But again, if my kids were to come to me now, and Nick will tell you growing up it wasn't like this, because all my kids were athletes, I'm former law enforcement, a very, very anti-drug. Getting me to substitute cannabis for OxyContin was a long-term project for my doctor, okay, in California. It wasn't an easy deal, just because, again, I drank the Kool-Aid, and I thought, marijuana was a dangerous deal. Of course, at my level, all I saw was, tons of it coming across the border from Mexico and stuff. I never was involved like on a street level other than way back when I was putting myself through college. And I caught a couple of people with marijuana when I was, a street cop. I just usually made them I never arrested anybody, but I just I'd get to the nearest storm drain and made them throw it down the storm drain. It wasn't worth, not because I was pro-cannabis, but because it wasn't worth the paperwork. to tell you the truth. I mean, it's a long-term deal. It's the same reason why if you take, you know, your vape pens and stuff through the airport, they're not going to do the paperwork to arrest you. If you take edibles, it costs thousands of dollars to test that to see what the hell's even in it. I mean, they're not going to, you know, arrest you for that, and you know, they might take it and probably consume it themselves. But anyway, so anyway, you know, as most of you know, I could go on and on and on for several hours here, but we'll wrap it up. But I just want to tell you how much, again, I appreciate each and every one of you. I really appreciate you coming today, and for those of you who've been with us since day one, you know, I really appreciate that as well. Yes, sir.
I just got a question as far as...
Speak up just a little bit. I'm sorry, I left half my hearing on me.
As far as reaching out to different demographics of vets and stuff, I know the younger crowd is a little bit on social media and stuff, but the older crowd seems to be a little bit harder to reach and harder to convince that cannabis is a good alternative to the medications and stuff. So have you guys thought about doing, like, not necessarily a commercial, but a commercial-esque kind of testimonial of the younger crowd and the older crowd that has been in your organization for a while to show that it's not just a certain demographic that's doing this? You know what I mean?
Yes, you know, and thank you for that, yes. And actually at this event I'm talking about, July 1st at Light Up Las Vegas, we'll have a whole area, an entire area devoted just to that. We have done some testimonials. We had, I don't know, is that on our site still, Nick, that video, the testimonial video? Yeah, I think it's still on there. The problem is that, you know, it was always a volunteering to record it, so a lot of times the audio stopped, you know, and stuff, so it's tough. You know, we've used it, but, you know, in terms of testimonials are always the most effective way to sell anything. Doesn't make any difference what it is. So, you know, having been in the film and TV business too, I mean, I'm very in tune to that. So that's the direction that we're heading. We're going to make some PSAs, hopefully be able to get those run, you know, at least on some independent stations. But, excuse me, but you're right. I mean, if you look around the crowd here today, you know, now we may have more vets over 50, what's that, older vets? Again, I'll be 65 in June, so I mean, I'm the oldest probably here, but there are a few older vets. Well, some of the Vietnam vets, see, I'm like the youngest one I ever run into that, you know, it's like, or one of the younger. But anyway, the older veterans too, you have to remember that you know, in Vietnam, for example, you know, marijuana was just all about getting high to, you know, get away from all the shit. Excuse my language. I mean, that's what it was all about. And so, you know, I think they're more likely to have a negative opinion of it, but they also are less likely to be willing to come into a group situation. Obviously, there are a lot of younger vets that are agoraphobic as well, and we've always tried to take special care of them. But if they can't stand to be around people or big crowds. But the older guys have been harder to reach, just like minorities have been harder to reach. You know, as I look through the crowd, you know, the percentage of minorities I serve with much higher than what I ever see in our crowds. Okay, a lot of that too has to do with you know, it's what's happened, you know, more likely to minorities when it comes to marijuana, how they're treated than white people, simple as that. And so there are certain demographics that are harder to reach, but that's one thing that we're gearing up to do is try to reach, you know, a broader group. You know, one upside to these long wars, God, what is Afghanistan, like 16 frickin' years or something now, unbelievable. You know, the one upside to that is because there's such a large number of veterans in such of those wars, and such a large, and not just active or not just regular active duty military. In my day, if you were in the National Guard or the Reserves or whatever, your chances of going to Vietnam are like 1 in a trillion, right? Okay. Nowadays, there are lots of over the last 16 years, there've been a lot of National Guard units that have gotten pulled into it that have seen some of the worst combat that's ever taken place in the history of the friggin' world, right? So, it's integrated more into society. You never, in Vietnam, we didn't have many 50-year-old guys in Vietnam that, were just made active, 2 months ago and got thrown in the mix. It's all young guys, Now, I mean, there are some of these National Guard units have people, and certainly in their lots in their 40s and in their 50s, and not because they've been in necessarily for 20 years or whatever. And so it's reached, these wars have reached a broader cross-section of society. It's a lot harder now for people that are not involved in the wars not to know somebody who has been, okay? And so I think that's made a big difference as well, which is why a lot of you younger guys, I think, are willing to, come out. The thing that's always the most frustrating thing to me when it comes to reaching, any veterans at all has been, I don't understand why, when you're in the military, I mean, brotherhood, all your comrades, I mean, you're all very, very closely tied. And in my day, it didn't make any difference what race you were or anything else. Yes, there were different cliques of different, races or whatever, but the point is you're all brothers and you banded together, right? But when we get out, everybody just kind of scatters and goes all over the freaking country or whatever. And so it's harder to get them back together, because in Colorado, for example, a lot of veterans, when they get out and they come to Colorado, they want to move up in the mountains far away from people as they can get. They don't want to listen to, they don't have anything to do with society, with traffic noise or anything else, right? So it's harder to reach that group. That's why I really think that Operation Airdrop will give us an opportunity to do that, because you can stay on your house in the mountains and still have, your medicine delivered to you. Hopefully someday that will also include THC-rich medicine that we can actually deliver right to your doorstep. And I do believe that day will come, okay? Will it be in the next 2-3 years? Probably not, but I do think that day will come. I think I'll live to see that day as old as I am. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My buddy, he's a vet too, and he's a manager at one of the stores in the Park Meadow Mall. And he went to school and got a degree in film school and all that stuff, and he does his own movies and stuff. And I'm sure because you said the volunteers usually have sucky equipment or they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I can get him to help you guys out if you guys need it.
That'd be great, yeah, and maybe if I could look to you to coordinate that,
Okay.
and do it, I'm sure that a lot of people, or some of the people here would be willing to, to give their testimonials. The important thing for Grow for Vets too is, there's two elements to that. One, obviously, is just the benefits of cannabis and why, what we're about teaching people who don't know is just why cannabis is a good alternative. It's a safer alternative. It can't kill you. It's about that simple. It's not rocket science, right? The other element of it is to get the support that we need for Grow for Vets is that, as people people have been with us for a long time saying, and we get emails like this all the time. Some of them I think Nick probably's posted on our website, which is their first name or whatever. But we get emails all the time from people, telling us that before they, came in contact with Grow for Vets, they were taking, all these deadly drugs, and since, the last year or whatever, they've been able to get off of them or reduce them or whatever. The most emotional things, and it hadn't happened lately because we haven't done public events here, but especially in the beginning, I mean, just even when we were like 2 years into it or whatever, we had a lot of events where people would bring their spouses. We've had a couple of like picnic types of things where people have brought their kids. And the most most humbling part to me is and again, usually women, who thank me because I'm the face of Grow for Vets. Has nothing to do with me, but thank me for saving their marriage. And the very, very hardest ones, because I have 6 kids, are the ones, a couple kids who've said, thanks for giving me back my daddy. I mean, that's a tough deal, and it's tough. People don't realize, that's what we're trying to show the public. You can't, I've told this story before, I grew up in Nebraska, as I said, you can't take a kid from Nebraska who really never saw any violence in his life other than a few fights or whatever, and, you know, train them how to, give them a gun, train them how to kill people, you know, have them kill people, and hopefully learn how to not get killed themselves. And then, when they're out, give them back your weapon and take off your uniform, and you're just the same, you walk down the same street you'll walk down as a kid, and you're the same person. It doesn't happen. I know no one I've ever met in my entire life who that it went that way for them. Okay, and even if you weren't ever in combat, in military experience, I've never met anyone that didn't change their life. Almost always for the better, but no one, you know, because that has an effect on you one way or the other. So again, those are tough. And in my day, one of the tougher things too, just kind of wrap up, and I'll let you ask the question, Stephen, is that, you know, and this happened when I first was meeting people that, young veterans like you that were trained as service dogs. You know, my day, and a lot of you guys, the only time you see a woman, if you're anywhere near a combat zone, is if you got it. And it was a nurse. You know, so it's really, the first time I met a woman training her service dog who had PTSD, who happened to be very, very young. I mean, but a woman, that just really blew me away. I mean, that was like, I still can't quite wrap my hand around. So a lot of times I talk about guys this, guys that, whatever. I don't mean to leave the women out, but you know, my day there weren't any women, you know, who were anywhere near combat. So anyway.
Well, two things maybe. Is there any movement afoot to get us a decent deal on the licensing for the card versus?
Yeah, you know, in Colorado it's been tough. Just very, very briefly, I would say very briefly. So anyway, over the next 45 minutes I'll explain this to you. In Colorado, and I'm sure Brittany's heard this term a lot, you know, we refer to the tax money that's generated as the green crack. So long story short, all of the politicians are hooked on green crack. All of the regulators are hooked on green crack. Med in Colorado, the people that regulate cannabis in Colorado are the most feckless. Oh my God, they're unbelievable. I mean, they're worried about it. They could walk into here today, and if Brittany hadn't crossed a T or dotted an I on some stupid fake piece of paper, it's $5,000 fine. You know, but if you call them up and say, you know, I just saw Roger Martin, he's a Nebraska license plate, he just loaded up, you know, 100 pounds of cannabis in the back of his Suburban, and he said he's going to Nebraska, they wouldn't respond. Now, on their business cards, it says criminal investigator. Now, this is face-to-face thing, because again, I was in law enforcement. So I went up and talked to them, so face-to-face. Criminal investigator, right on their card. They have a badge, they have a gun, and they have a card that says criminal investigator. Told me right to my face, we do not do criminal investigation. We rely on the local policing authority to do that. The only reason it says criminal investigator and they give them a gun is so they can feel like they're king, you know what. That's just ridiculous. And all they do is sit around all day to figure out how they can make it more difficult for open vape and all of the companies that do it right to operate. And they're so stupid they don't realize that all they're doing is trying to regulate themselves out of a job. So instead of that, they try to come up with more jobs. That we got to hire more people. We have to educate more people about cannabis. We have to do, and blah 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 blah. I mean, it's all about the green crack. Now, if you think that Hickenlooper would allow the feds to shut down the marijuana business in Colorado, I'll guarantee you, even though Hickenlooper made all of his money on alcohol, which is why he's always been, you know, anti-cannabis and, you know, talks to Arizona to convince them not to pass it, and had nothing to do with that. He didn't want Arizona to pass it. He didn't want any other state to pass it because he wants all that tax revenue here, okay? But if the feds tried to shut it down, Hickenlooper would put the National Guard on the borders of Colorado, I'll guarantee you, to try to keep them out of here. Because they want that money, that's all they care about, period. Okay? Matter of fact, Hickenlooper, about 4 months ago, and I haven't had a chance to keep track of this because I've been so busy moving and getting things set up for what we're going to be doing. Hickenlooper, about 3 or 4 months ago, was trying to push some sort of a new tax, okay, that would like double the tax on cannabis. And the reason was because, and the reason he gave is because all these other states are legalizing. Well, he's gonna seize that cutting into Colorado's tax revenue. So that's all they care about. I don't, you know, again, that's my soapbox deal, and I'll get off of it, but I'm just telling you, all the politicians, all the regulators, law enforcement, that's all they care about is the money, the green crack that's generated by the legal cannabis industry, period.
I guess we're gonna pay our $300.
What?
I guess we're gonna continue to pay for our red cards.
Yeah, well, exactly, you know, and again, something else that we're actually working on, and we'll, hopefully, yet this year, we'll get to have a really big national push for it. You know, some states now, I think Nevada might be, see, Nevada is so stupid, you have to send in, I think it's $50 to get them to send you an application. Wow. Then you have to go to the doctor, get a this is their medical, then you have to go to a doctor, get a, you know, pay $100, $200 or two, I think it's $200 or $300 in Nevada to get a recommendation. Then you have to send, I think it's another $75 or something in with the recommendation and the application you filled out. Now, in Oregon, I think it is, it's $15 is all a card is. So it's very reasonably priced. My opinion is, and again, something we'll be pushing on a national level again soon, is that cannabis cards should be free for all veterans, period. Because you don't have to buy a card or get a you don't have to buy a card and pay extra money to be able to go in and fill your prescription at Walgreens at the doctor gave it. You don't have to, if you go in there for a sore throat, you don't have to go through a, you know, a $250 evaluation explaining everything that's ever happened to you in your life to qualify to get anything. You know, I was thinking the other day when I was driving down 25 hitting my vape pen. That how stupid it is that it's against the law to do that. But I could be popping OxyContin while I'm driving down the freeway all day long. 180 milligrams a day, I'm not, some of you taking probably Oxy. That's not a small dose. You know, and I was supposedly a fully functional human being. I took it. Yeah, it's what?
It's still DUI in Colorado, if you don't think of it.
Yeah, but they won't pull you over.
Yeah, but they're not, yeah, if they see a bottle of OxyContin in my pocket or in my, well, on my dashboard, they're not gonna say, oh, blah, blah, blah. They're gonna check my ID, make sure my name's on the prescription. They're not even gonna ask me how much I took unless I'm weaving across the road.
Roger, to address that gentleman there, there's a clinic just a couple of blocks down here, I think on Alameda, that is legit, can get your red card for $20. I've done it in several others. What it is, you give them the right to grow your plants. If you don't grow your plants, you give them the right, and for $20 you can get your red card, and it works. It's in Westward. It's in Westward.
Well, you know, and again, and real quick, that's something I didn't talk about. I think I did last time. You know, Colorado is pushing very, very strongly, and I think they are.
It's 2-for-1 Jack, splat, just like that. Bringing you tons of information, that's where he's at. He goes around town covering topics you'd like to know. Well, that's what you get when you tune in to the 2-for-1 Jack Show.